Hello friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is Technical Analysis. This video is for Ethereum. As you can see, Rocky Outcrop, 100% quality technical analysis. You know you want to subscribe for more of this good stuff. What we're looking at here, this is of course Ethereum, and I know there's a fair amount of noise on the charts here. Let me just take off all of the drawings so that we can kind of look at this in a bit more detail. What we see here is this most recent of highs. It's not actually taken out our previous highs over on the 17th of September, but the RSI and whatnot seems to be higher just here. So you've got a degree of hidden bearish divergence on the go. That's worth pointing out really with regards to only being, with a stone's throw away at $5 away from actually taking out those highs and instead having convergence there. So until such times as we've really moved past 380, well, let's call it 390, we've not really managed to really change what could potentially turn out to boil out to be a bearish picture with regards to the price action. When we look here at the RSI, having had this low over here compared to this low, and this low in the price action compared to this low being convergent, and we're in a period of, inflection or discovery in the markets. Putting the drawings back on, in terms of the potential upside and downside, what we see here is that there was, of course, this falling wedge on the chart shown by the MACD having that divergence quite distinctly between those 2 points, which I just pointed out is not being divergent on the RSI. So we know that there's this wedge here, and of course we could be looking towards topside resolution of that having broken past this area, in which case if we take a measured move off the back of this thing and stick it in from say around about there to there and drag it over so that we can talk about this properly, we might be looking up towards the 618 golden pocket zone there at the 420 blaze area if you wanted to be really super duper positive on this. Of course, if we do not see that movements past 390, then what we're really looking down to asking questions about is, will 366 operate as support as we have seen in today's price action at 365.45? It already haven't done so, and if it doesn't actually manage to successfully retain the price action there at those points, moving this Fibonacci retracement up in terms of the most recent price action, we can see quite clearly that 369 of course is where the 236 is, and that means that we could then be looking down towards 330, yet again 340 actually, sorry, for this golden pocket retrace. And if that were to be the case, we'd be asking serious questions at that point about whether or not we'd be taking out our previous low and of course undoing the good work which is so far seen since the lows over here on the 24th of September, a high come in here on the 1st of October, subsequent to that a higher low on the 7th of October, and currently at the minute a higher high on the 12th of October. So in terms of this smaller chunk of time frame of price action, what we're really looking to in terms of what we can see and anticipate in terms of the markets would be movements up above 390, undoing the bearish divergence over here and living off the back of this bullish divergence on the MACD, and with the potential for a movement up towards the 618 at 420. Failure to do so results in price action moving down perhaps potentially past the 236 over here, taking out the previous high that we had in there on the 1st of October with a view to perhaps coming in here and finding support at 340. And if we don't get that, then of course we could be moving even further on down the way. We've actually had a measured move in terms of some of these things, and we've also seen the price action come in so far here towards the lower line of our pitchfork, perfectly, absolutely perfectly touching off that zone. And that of course is a profit taking target for us, which we identified during last week in the videos. So anybody who's found that they longed it up towards this area off the back of last week's videos, and of course your own technical analysis, congratulations, well done to you. You did exactly the right thing. And of course taking profit in this area wouldn't be a bad thing, even though we have of course just covered the exact scenario for moving on past this zone in either direction. And of course if we do go down towards the lower side, the easy to anticipate area in terms of support coming back in again would be with a retest, not back test, that's the wrong word, but a back test of this falling wedge over here, coming on down towards the areas such as $333. That is of course the key areas to be looking out for. And as we look over here on the DMI, we can see that there has been this cross between the positive DI and the negative DI here on the 24-hour time frame, but it is very much not fantastic-y, smasticky in terms of the strength of trend, seeing that the strength of trend remains down there very low below 20. Dropping down the time frames, you can see that there isn't really a different story until you get down towards the 4-hour time frame, where you actually find that there is this strength strength of trend towards the top side, but in fact the ADX has got a curve towards the lower side. Haven't had the positive DI take it out and movements down towards the lower side so far. And, ultimately this is what you often see before you see a turnaround, perhaps recent examples of which being over here in terms of the negative case scenario for a turnaround in the price action. So there you go. That's the dollar pairing for us, wrapped up more or less fairly neatly. And in terms of the Bitcoin pairing, what we can see quite clearly is that we've actually managed to come in here and put in a low so far, which is finding support in it around about our crucial neckline area in terms of this big zone that we've got here. And as well, we've moved outside of the range of the bounds of this falling wedge. And of course, that means that we could then be looking to have a measured move off the back of it, which could potentially exceed even these highs over here on the 13th of September. Not quite coming up as high as the most recent highs there at the close to $500 point where we had 0.04, but we have of course also reached our profit taking target, the initial one that we had in mind of 0.33. Movements beyond this zone need to be taken into consideration of 0.34, but then the next real big target for us has got to be 3491, as in 35, because if I just look over to the left, you can see we're at 3491. There is a 236 Fibonacci retracement point that would invalidate this one and then end this as being looking like a Wyckoff distribution top, and instead it would start to look more like the potential for just having had a degree of cooling off of the oscillators and whatever else before we then potentially get to continue on towards the top side. Things remain as they are right now, and of course we're looking over time and saying that we need to see this happen. If we don't see it happen over time, then entropy generally tends to kick in, and we can look for support in if we need to see it in there at 0.3133 in terms, or 0.03133 in terms of the Ethereum to Bitcoin pairing. That's been the technical analysis in terms of this. Of course, I could do numerous other things if I wanted to, and look at various different areas. For instance, the swing point here on the stochastics, which we haven't managed to take out quite yet. And of course, in terms of the ADX down here, you can see that while we are above this is very positive for us. And looking towards this, if we get above 25, then of course, we might going for that. But movements down back below this area, we can consider the sort of Fibonacci area there of the 23, or wherever I have that line at, as being the sort of the key sort of zone for us in terms of this thing. But we don't need to go into too much detail on that front because I've already hit a huge hole-in-one, home run, ding-dang-dong, fantastic crypto technical analysis for Ethereum. I do this every weekday, so be sure to tune in again to get more of this tomorrow. My name's been Rocky Outcrop, youtube.com/Rocky Outcrop to share it with your friends. If you want to discuss the technical analysis with me and others of a similar mindset to yourself, then do that by joining the Discord. If you like to support the channel and send some value back this way, hit the join button. But of course, if you can't afford to do that, that's fine. Just hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate that too. And if you have enjoyed this and I am now a new friend of yours, remember to introduce me to a friend of yours elsewhere, because a friend of yours is a friend of mine. My name is Rocky Outcrop. I'll see you in the next episode.